Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unfiltered Friends. And I'm really excited to share this story today because very rarely do you get to talk to someone who's willing to talk, who is so close to national news. This was one of the most heartbreaking incidents, especially for the LGBT community, but the world at large, was the mass shooting at Pulse nightclub. When it happened, I was in Chicago and I got contacted. I was looking to talk to people who were there. If they needed to talk, like, I was willing to be there for them. I remember sitting in the middle of Boys Town in Chicago and just sitting and talking to people. And it was amazing watching kind of everyone come together and support each other and love on each other. And I talked to Shae that night. Shae was still in shock over the situation, but I'm glad that he came out unscathed, at least physically, for the most part. And then it turned out that he moved to Denver. So I was really excited to actually be able to sit down and have a lengthy conversation with him about it. Before we get into the full episode, don't forget that if you ever want to talk to any of these guests live, tune in, twitch.tv/supdaily. You'll be able to ask them questions, and that's something that is exclusive to that. And then, of course, my sponsors, my Patreon. Thank you guys so much. And the people I'd like to shout out are Terry Nosworthy, Charles Snipes, Lena, Jonathan McLean, Carla, Raymond Diaz Aragon, James Olson, Luke, Eric, Jonathan Masongsong, Paul, Frida, Gregory Toner, Don O'Cole, Tracy Chu, Matilda Melvin. Amazing human beings that help this independently funded podcast go. One of the reasons I started to really focus on Patreon is because a lot of the platforms are scared of these conversations. So if you want to help make these conversations a reality, patreon.com/unfilteredfriends. And without further ado, let's talk to Shae. Welcome to the Unfiltered Friends podcast. Before we introduce you to our next friend, I want you to take a moment to think about everything that led you to where you are right now. Do you see how strong you are? Do you see how great your story is? I hope you do, and I hope you learn great lessons and get inspired by our next friend's story on the Unfiltered Friends podcast. Hello, friends, and welcome to the Unfiltered Friends podcast, where we listen to amazing stories and hopefully watch someone inspire themselves with their own story. And today I have on my friend Shae. I talked to Shae actually maybe a day or two after the Pulse nightclub shooting happened, which was about 3 years ago, and a really heartbreaking time. And Shae was actually in Pulse nightclub when the shooting happened, and I'm grateful that he was willing to sit down and tell me his experience. So without further ado, here's Shae. Say hello.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
So tell me a little bit about you before we get into the shooting part of it, because that's not 100% fun. Is your phone going off?
I don't know.
It is.
You can put it down there. I'm sorry. It's my friends.
You fail. So tell people a little bit about just who you are as a person.
I mean, I just exist. Like, I don't think
we all just exist.
Yeah,
But like, where you from? What are you into? Like.
Okay, I feel like I'm on Tinder.
Do you want to be on Tinder?
I do not want to be on Tinder, even though I am.
So where are you from?
I'm from Texas. I'm from San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of grew up there. I was raised between there, and as a child, I grew up in Ohio and all that stuff. I've been all over the place.
Why are you moving so much?
Because I don't know what I want in life.
But that's
I'm trying to figure it out.
Everybody is. That's so fair, though.
But I feel like I need to see everything before I get to that point to where it's time to, lock down and be responsible and be an adult. And I mean, I'm getting there.
Don't ever be an adult. It's a trap. Growing old is gonna happen. Growing up is optional, and I do not recommend growing up at all.
Okay.
And you're never gonna see everything in the world.
I know I'm not, but as much as I can see between now and then, that would be great. But I'm actually like in that stage to where it's like, okay, let's find something to do and stick to it. Which is why, I'm great. I got into the career field that I'm in now, because I know that's what I want to do, for the rest of my life, so like that's one thing, it's just like moving on to the next and just just steps, just baby steps.
I think too often we think of like finding our one thing and sticking in the same place as like that's like like I think you can. I mean, when you say stick to one thing, are you talking about a career? Are you talking about a person? Like what specifically?
Yeah,
are you
all of that.
about?
Like career first, and then a person, and then persons. Like I want to.
What persons?
Yeah, like I want to do the kid thing one day,
Oh, I thought you were talking
stuff
about
like that,
being polyamorous.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Like, oh, okay.
No, definitely.
I like it.
Definitely not, but finding a career that you're interested in and what you finally want to do, I think that's the first step to everything, because that's where you get your stability at.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and then after that, everything else can come after that. But
I just don't. I feel like too often we think we have to like stop everything if we find something that we want to do. Maybe you never settle and you just explore. There's people out there that like want. I had a girl. She's on my wall over here. Actually, she's been living the last 3 years of her life in an Airstream, and like traveling everywhere and meeting new people all the time. And most people are like, I don't know if I could do that, but she's doing the damn thing. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think too often we think of settling down, but really it's just finding your tribe. You don't have to settle. Just find something that makes you happy.
Yeah, I want to settle. I think that'll make me happy. Like I think at a certain point, just my opinion, at a certain point, you just get to, that time where you're like, okay, I need to get some kind of stability, so I'm
like
working on it.
When you get to around your age, like 23, 24.
Yes, exactly.
That's about the time when you start thinking about stuff like that.
Yeah, I was so close. I was actually engaged up to like a couple months ago, and then I ruined it. So.
Whoa, wait. I didn't know about any of this. You were engaged.
I was engaged.
How did you mess it up?
Long story short, I get very insecure about a lot of things, and sometimes when something's good and somebody's telling you that it's one thing, you just completely fly off the handle. And in other words, he was telling the truth about something, and I just wouldn't let it go. And it was something actually really big. And
can you just tell us what it is? Because all this like ambiguity, we gotta know what the deal is. Like, what happened?
Basically, he worked in a certain career field, and
are we talking about sex work?
No.
Okay.
No, he
it's
worked.
It's a fair question, though.
No, yes, it is a fair question. It's a fair question.
Yeah.
He worked in a certain career field, and he actually.
What's the career field? Why is this a secret?
Because this person, I just, I want to protect.
Okay, fair.
That person. So
I had to press you. I had to.
Yes, I understand. He worked in a certain career field, and he actually came home to surprise me on Christmas because he knew I was going to be at the same place. And he forgot to block me from his Facebook when he was letting people know that he was in town. And I saw it, and I completely thought that he was being sneaky, and I completely flipped the fuck out on him. And it was just a whole bad thing. And come to find out, I went to go eat with a friend that actually knew him, and they confirmed that I just flipped out like over nothing. So like I tried to apologize, and just the way he was moving in his life, like he just felt like he didn't want the extra stress, and I understood.
I'm confused though. So like he came into town where you live?
Well, he was he was going into town the same place I was going to be at that time, and he knew that I was going to be there.
And so why were you concerned about him blocking you? Like, to me, it's
because he was telling everybody else that he was going to be there, but he didn't want me to know.
Why? That's the thing. Like, to me, that doesn't sound like you're freaking out over nothing. It sounds like you are at this point engaged, correct?
Yes.
To someone who's going to be in the same place as you, but doesn't want you to know. I think that's pretty valid. In my opinion, that's pretty valid. That's someone showing how much they care about seeing you.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, like, it was supposed to be a surprise. Like, I get it.
It was a surprise for you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you fucked up.
Yeah, it was a surprise for me.
It's understandable because you don't know.
Yeah, I don't, but it just, after that, it just completely just ruined everything, and, and I still take responsibility for that because I kind of messed it up, so.
No, I feel that, but from my perspective, if that is the thing that makes the house of cards fall, then it wasn't meant to last anyway. Like, that's a situation that you can talk through. Unless you did something real fucked up in reaction, which maybe is the case.
I maybe could have.
What is that? What does the sign say? What does this sign say? Unfiltered.
I maybe could have threatened to pull up on him and beat him up, but
So what are we gonna do to not act like that again?
Be nice.
Just be nice. I think controlling this couldn't have been the first time that you guys had an issue.
No, there was other things, but it could have been. I felt like it could have been worked through, but at the end of the day, like he didn't feel like it was, and that's completely understandable. So,
yeah,
many blessings to him. But yeah.
Okay, so that ends. And then at what point do you end up living in Orlando?
So I was singing on a cruise ship. And
you're a singer?
Yeah, I was singing on a cruise ship. And,
what are your karaoke jams? If you're trying to show off. Show off hype, not show off chill. You know the difference.
I love like Georgia on My Mind by Ray Charles. Like, I love very jazzy, things and stuff like that. But I was, doing room service and singing on the ship, and I just got to a point to where I was tired of doing it, and some friends were like, "Hey, come stay with us in Orlando," and I was like, "Hey, I don't have a home. I live on a ship, so yeah, let's go."
Did you? I always wonder what it would be like to live, because I sing too. So I've had job offers to go sing on a ship, and for some reason, the idea of being confined to a ship for extended periods of time did not turn me on. But did you enjoy your time there?
Working on a ship was a lot of work. Like we did like all the Hawaiian Islands and stuff like that. So. It was a lot of fun, but you were just tired. You worked 7 days a week, like, 12, 13-hour shifts, and it's tiring. It's exhausting, so I can't speak for everyone else, but in terms of me, I just never wanted to enjoy myself because I was so tired all the time, so I really didn't get, the full experience of doing it all. But, I mean, the grand scheme of things, like, I'm grateful for the experience. I met a slew of great friends from all over the world on there. But it just, after about 2 years, it was just a lot. It was too much.
Are you gonna sing for us a little bit?
Maybe later.
What do you mean maybe later? No time like the present, my friend.
Oh, I hate singing.
So sing a little bit of Georgia on My Mind.
Oh God. Okay.
Go.
God, I'm really shy, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm so shy.
The preparation. You're okay.
Other arms reach out to me. Other eyes smile tenderly. Still in peaceful dreams I see. The road leads back to you.
Okay.
Georgia, Georgia,
Yes.
no peace I find. Just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind.
Wow, that was amazing. He was like, "Excuse me, I'm shy." You know what, fool? I see you. Okay, you're like, because if you were actually shy, you wouldn't have sang. You were like, "I'm shy."
I'm powering through it.
Mm-hmm. With a few things. Yeah. So you moved to Orlando, and do you move in with, like, was it people from the ship, or was it just people you knew in Orlando?
No, they were friends that I actually worked with in Texas. I was doing entertainment at a theme park like a few years beforehand. And I had some very good friends from there that actually relocated to Orlando prior, and they just wanted me to come stay over there, you know. So being the adventurous person I am, I said, why not? You know, let's just go see what's going on. So I picked up my stuff and I headed over.
Okay, is my mic low or high? I'm so confused, guys. Help me out here. People are saying it's gaining up, which to me is too high, and now it's too low. Hold on. What? Okay, is this better? Does this sound better? Hold on, you talking to your mic.
Hello.
Yeah, so this seems like it's hitting. Means more gain. Up more? Okay. Oh, what's going on? Oh, hold on. Let me get these EQs different. It's fine on your... Okay, how does this sound?
Mic check. 1 2 1 2.
Is this better? Did you just say there she goes, bitch? I didn't have... So, the mixer over there has all these different EQ dials, and I'm not used to using the second set because I don't have people on podcasts that much. So now I have it the same as that microphone, which is the settings that I use for a stream.
Okay.
But luckily, while you were showing off, you got the good mic. Not used to having the second set because I don't have friends. You know what? Fuck y'all. Okay. So let's start over at that question again. So when you were going to Orlando, it was the people you knew on the ship, or was it just people you knew in Orlando?
It was just people I knew from Texas that moved to Orlando. So they were friends of mine for years, you know. So I felt, you know, okay, you know, let's do it. You know, you want me to come move in? I'll come move in. So I moved in, and then my best friend came with me, which was great.
Oh,
so,
that's nice.
Yeah, I know. So we both ended up staying in Orlando for that time being.
So can we get into your sexuality at all? Or
Sure.
So what's your sexuality?
I am gay, 100%.
Don't get elitist, okay? We got enough problems. What was it like being... Well, you're a person of color and you're gay and you're in the South. You said you were in Texas, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe had a little bit to do with some of your desire to get out of there, or no?
Yeah, of course. I had a terrible time growing up.
Yeah.
I grew up in a family that wasn't accepting, you know, with the exception of let me just say my immediate family, as in my parents. My little sisters, they're good to go. My grandparents were always good to go. It was just my mom and my dad that gave me literally, like, God bless. I don't like my dad, but God bless my mom's soul. Like, she.
Yeah.
I love her to death, but I had a very, very difficult time growing up.
And I've noticed this a lot, especially in the black community.
Absolutely. Yes.
I used to live in a predominantly black neighborhood in
Absolutely.
LA. And there was a billboard. I will never forget this billboard because I was like, I can't believe this is a billboard. And the billboard was just telling black fathers to accept their gay sons. And that's when I realized how bad it was in that community.
Yeah, it's horrible, and I think most of it has to do with a lot of like black people are predominantly Christian. I think it has a lot to do with Christianity and things like that. And I just feel like that is one of the main reasons why African American families have such a hard time, accepting their gay children, because they're raised, if you're gay, you're just going straight to hell, and that's just what it is. So I grew up terrified because I knew what the deal was. You're talking to somebody who was 6 years old and tricking little boys into playing house, so you can, so you can see their bits,
Wow.
So
well, I also, like, in my experience, obviously not as a black person because I've never been one, but like from being a part of that community and talking to people, there's also, it's not just religion, it's also an obsession with masculinity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a man's a man to me, but in African American household predominantly, they just don't see that. They want their son to grow up and be some kind of fucking like Zulu warrior or some shit like that, and that's just not always, how it ends up. And I grew up never being able to like be myself ever, and that, my parents don't I haven't talked to my dad in years, but my mom, like, I spent so much time hiding from her. She couldn't tell you what my favorite color was, what I like to eat or whatever, because I just always felt like I had to, like hold everything in. I didn't want her to know me, and that just had a major effect.
Like, it's not who you are, but it's a major aspect of your life.
It does. And I mean, it's given me a lot of baggage too, and I think that's, to get deeper into it, that's made me such a like needy, like friend, boyfriend, like, all that stuff, because I felt like in the family unit, besides, my sister and my grandparents, my immediate parents, I just never got that, like, all that love, I wanted. So whenever I feel like I love somebody, I need them like, I need them like 24/7,
You're seeking what you didn't have in your
yes,
household.
Yeah. So that contributes to the baggage, and I feel bad because my best friend, bless his heart, like I just like think he's my property like all the time, and I feel so bad sometimes. Like all his little girlfriends like chase him off, like I'm a beast.
Why are you doing that?
I know.
Like you're aware of it.
I know.
So
I just want to be loved.
But you can be loved without trying to train wreck other people.
I know. I'm like that with all my guy friends. I don't want to meet any girlfriends, like nothing like that. I just want them all to myself, which is weird because my gay friends I can count like on less than one hand, but like just all my guy friends, like I just want all the lovins, all the time, and that's just a reason why, I just never. Like I feel like I don't feel like fulfilled enough.
But have you tried to, like, have you gone to therapy? Have you tried to address these things? Because it doesn't have to, like, you're aware, it doesn't have to be your reality. So you could work through these things.
Well, therapy is expensive. I just do vodka.
Moving on. Jesus. Therapy's expensive. I just do vodka. I'm sure that's going to be on a shirt somewhere sometime.
Yeah, it works.
Okay.
Temporarily.
Let's get back on track. So you moved to Orlando.
Yes.
And you get I'm assuming like you get involved with the gay community there. Or are you still kind of like, because you just said you only have like less than 5 gay friends. So
yeah, I wouldn't find myself getting involved. Like most of the times I go out, I would go by myself. I would drag Scott with me sometimes. But I would feel bad dragging him over there because I knew like, sometimes it's a little too aggressive. Intense. Like I took him to Parliament House in Orlando. I don't know if you've ever been there.
No.
But I felt particularly bad that night because I took him, it was like a Friday night, and I really talked him up into going, and then we walk in there and there's just fucking dicks helicoptering like everywhere when we walk in there.
It can be an intense experience.
Yeah, so
but regardless of sexuality, just dicks flying around all the place. That's
I know,
a lot.
and I know, and I felt really, really bad until this day. Like I don't drag him like anywhere. He does it for me, you know, which is fantastic, which makes him such an amazing person. But you know, I usually just go out by myself, like if I have to.
Yeah, my first gay bar experience, it was not a good starter bar for someone who had never been to a gay bar before.
You got them hands, didn't you?
Well, that happens regardless of what gay bar I go to. Like, something about me, I'm curious to your perspective.
You should take me
this.
with you next time you go.
Yeah.
I'll break their face.
No, I don't want anyone to break. I just want them to keep their hands to themselves, and I'll tell them myself.
But that's how you teach them to keep their hands to yourself.
No, honey. No, that's wrong. Assault is wrong.
Damn it.
But what I'm saying is like, I went to this bar and I walk in, and the first thing I see is like 2 completely naked men in tubes full of foam. And I'm just like, that was what greeted me at the entrance, and I'm like, okay, like this is. But then I realized that like not all gay bars are quite as aggressive.
Yes.
Yeah, and like I don't have a problem with gay guys hitting on me if I go, especially if I'm at a gay bar. I'm on their turf. Of course they're gonna like take a pass. What I do have a problem with is when I say no and they keep going, because that's assault regardless of sexuality.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do?
What do? I walk away.
Oh.
But
you don't cuss them out?
The only time I've actually hit someone, he actually grabbed my dick.
Oh, that's no
and
good.
It was just a reaction. Something is holding on to my penis right now, and I want that something, regardless of who it is, to stop.
Oh.
So I just had an immediate like reaction to hit.
Okay.
And but I don't
understand.
I don't really agree with hitting. I think hitting is stupid. Anyway. We'll have another talk another time. So starting to tie into Pulse, had you been to a Pulse nightclub before?
I have. I would usually go like on Saturday nights. Like I didn't go there a lot, mainly because it was so small. You know, like a lot of time.
It's not a big place. I don't think people recognize.
Yeah,
that.
no, it's not a big place at all. And like low key, like I really hate people. Like you know, like it literally fucks my night. Like if I keep on getting shoulder checked, and I just don't like it. Like. At all, being in packed places like that. Now, that night particularly, it was not a busy night. And then on top of that, I started going out onto the patio because the patio doesn't have as many people in there.
It's it's less chaotic out on the patio.
Yes. And, you know, it's weird because I go out, you know, but at the same time, I like the space. You know, so if there's like an outdoor area or something like that I can go to, then I'll usually just do that and just chill out there by myself, have a few drinks, you know, flip through my phone, you know, and that's a great night for me.
So is it like, was it a really popular place for people to go? Because I've been to the only gay bar that I remember going to in Orlando is still there, called Ember. I used to go to Ember. Do you remember Ember?
I've never heard of that.
It's right by the I don't know. There's a parking lot and a freeway.
Most gay bars. Yeah,
it's in the downtown area, but Ember's fun. But there's a lot of the people who worked at Pulse that now work at Ember that are still doing it. But
yeah,
Ember's packed all the time. Was Pulse popular?
I feel like it was. Yeah, like every time I've went, you know, there's always been a lot of people there. You know, like I said, that particular night, it wasn't as packed.
It was a specific night. It was Latino.
It was a Latin night.
Yeah, and that was the thing that upset me. And I actually talked to you about it because when I talked to you on the phone after the shooting happened, I couldn't get a hold of my friend Manny, who is from Orlando, Latino, frequented Pulse nightclub, and I couldn't get him on the phone for 3 days.
Ooh.
But I also, like, I talked to him about it later. He's like, dude, like, I couldn't. So were you frequenting Latin night? You into the Latin flavor?
Not at all. Not at all. Actually, that night, if you just want to get into the story,
Let's do the damn thing.
So at that time, I was bartending at the Marriott, and I closed my bar down like at about midnight, and the house that I was staying at, the air conditioner went out, so I got a hotel room for that night until somebody could come out and fix it. So I closed the bar down. I'm just like, well, I'm not gonna, go back to, my little Motel 6, by myself or whatever. So I'll go have a drink. That night, it just happened to be Pulse where I was going to go get my drink at. So I closed everything down. I got to Pulse maybe like 1:15, 1:30ish. Got in there, got my drinks from the inside bar, went right out to the patio. I didn't know there was like a bar area on the patio, but so I went out there. I had my drinks and everything. It got maybe around like a little bit past 2, and I was just like, all right, well, let me go on ahead and cash everything out, so I can go on ahead and go back to the hotel room. And mind you, I've already, while I was at work, I was taking shots with, guests and stuff like that, so by that time I'm already, I'm already blitzed, and I'm ready to go.
Generally, when you're going out at like 1 o'clock in the morning,
you got to catch up. You got to make up for lost time.
You don't have to, but you choose.
But I choose to make up for lost time.
There you go.
So I had my little, finished my little cranberry vodka. And then you can hear over the music, you can hear what sounded like gunshots, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person that thought it was just something going on inside the bar. So the people in the patio area initially, I felt like didn't pay too much attention to it. And then I noticed that the music got quiet on the patio, and you can blatantly hear, like I said, I've been in the Marine Corps. I know when you fire off weapons, like I know what it sounds like.
And he was shooting an AR, right?
Yes. I believe it was an AR.
So that's like an extra level of loud, because I've shot those guns, and
yes,
the difference between like a 9mm and an AR-15 is pretty sizable.
Yes. And me, along with other people on there who've literally been drinking all night, it's an impaired, like an impaired sense, but then I hear somebody, I don't know if it was a DJ or, whatever the case may be. I heard somebody yell, somebody's shooting. So then from there, I kind of froze up a little bit, and you can just see it literally looked like a whole entire stampede coming out of the side door. Like your bar's right here, and then you have that side door that, when you come from the club into the patio, and there's just people literally falling out of the door. And I have no idea if it's just people tripping over each other or if people are actually getting shot down.
So at this point, you already could identify that a shooting was happening.
Absolutely.
And that's why they were running.
No, absolutely. After that volume went down and you can blatantly hear that somebody was shooting in there, like I knew, right there,
right. It was time to get out.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where, people are like, oh, somebody starts shooting, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna run. And
people always think they know what they're gonna do until it actually happens.
Yeah, and I froze up. And the crazy thing is, like, I was just on the phone with my best friend maybe like 30 seconds before the shots went off, because he actually moved out of Orlando that night. He had to go back to Texas. Wow. So I was making sure that he was okay on the road. So like I get up and there's already people flooding into the patio, and I don't know if I just lose my balance or whatever, but I just fall, and I can just feel like footsteps and stuff just all over my back, like the back of my head.
God, you hit the ground and people were just...
Yeah, I was trying to get out of my seat, and I just, like, I didn't know I didn't know what was like. I just fell, you know.
I mean, this happens in like a very short period of time. Like, how are you?
Yeah, no, the whole thing felt like 20 minutes, you know, and it wasn't even that. It was maybe less than 5.
Yeah.
You know,
and this whole time, the gunshot, because he managed to kill. He killed 49 people, including
49 people.
himself, and he injured 53. So there had to have been just like a constant.
No, he was setting it off.
Fire.
Yeah, he was definitely setting it off. And the scary thing was, from where I was at, you know, you just couldn't tell, you know, where he was at, you know. So, I got up. You know, it took a while, and that's me, you know, like getting
you had to
up
fight your way up.
Yeah, and in the back patio, like they have like the fence there. I don't know have you ever been to Boston?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so in the back patio, you know how they have like the black fence,
yes.
you know, back there, and you have all these people trying to climb over the fence, and I'm up maybe like about like 5 or 6 rows like behind everybody, and I just felt like there was people like climbing on top of like patio furniture, and
they're just trying to get out.
Yeah, they're just trying to get out. And I know there was easier ways for me to get out around everybody, but my brain just wasn't calculating that. Like I just went into survival mode.
Direct.
Yeah.
You wanted the most direct way
I just
out.
wanted to get I just wanted to get out of there. And you know, there's still shots going off and people are trying to get out of there, and I can still feel people like on my shoulders and stuff. And just weirdly, I had a few seconds where I just, as weird as it sounds, like I just became like at peace. You know, I was just like, okay. And I was like, maybe, you know, this is probably it, you know, and like my whole body just like went calm, you know, and I just kind of, as sad as it sounds, like I just kind of accepted that maybe that was going to be it.
You were going into shock.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it was, you know, and I was just like, okay, all right, God, you know, that's it. And then and it was like one of those war movies, you know, when all the bombs are going off and then like, you know, your hearing is muffled and like everything just goes kind of still. And I just got a second wind and I got my ass up over that fence and I took off to my car, you know, and I just drove the fuck off, you know. And when I got in my car, you know, I just felt I was still, you know, panicked. I felt like he was maybe gonna shoot through my window, or, you know, because I was like parked right there's like a curb right there by the fence, and I was parked on that curb, and I just felt like, is he gonna shoot through my window, you know, like am I gonna like crash my car? It was just like a whole big entire, you know, mess. And I remember pulling back to the hotel, and I got up. I was in my work shirt. My work shirt it's a black shirt, you know, so of course you don't see, you know, it's hard to see, you know, anything that's on your shirt. And I got up from my seat and I turned around, looked at my seat, and I had blood on the back of my car seat. And like I was just like, did somebody behind me like lose their life? You know, did I take somebody's opportunity to, you know, get out of there? And it was just, I don't know, it was just really, really bad. And
was it your blood or was it someone else's?
No, it wasn't mine. It was somebody else's. Like, thank God, you know, I got out, you know, without, you know, a couple scratches, you know, but like I, you know, luckily never got shot. I luckily never had to look the shooter, you know, in the face, you know, and take, you know, risk of being shot or anything like that. But, you know, I've just had survivor's remorse really bad about that, you know, because that kind of, you know, imprinted in my head that, you know, somebody may have not, you know, gotten out of, you know, may have not gotten over that fence or gotten out, you know, because of me.
I mean, you like it wasn't your blood, which means you were close enough to the action where someone who did get hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I had to be, you know, like, I don't know if they were behind me and got shot, maybe, you know, if they did, I would have got shot too. So maybe they got shot beforehand, you know, like,
yeah, you
know, you just don't know. And I remember driving home, and I called. My first instinct was to call my mom. You know, I was hysterical. You know, and I called my mom. You know, and I was trying to tell her what happened. And I told her everything, and apparently, it was, she saw, she was seeing, what was happening, on TV or whatever the case may be. I don't know, but she acted like she knew, what was going on. And, I was like, Mom, something just happened. I was inside the club. She didn't know what club. I was inside the club, and, there was a shooter, and people got shot and da 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 da. And her first response was, that's what happened when you live that lifestyle.
Unfucking believable.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So
that's your concern.
Yeah. So that
makes me really fucking angry.
That
I can't
really
even imagine how
up.
that was for you.
It was bad, like and that literally put me in my bed like for days, like I was just like, wow, like, okay, I could have almost died, like I could have almost got shot up, but why not ask me if I'm okay? Like you don't care if I'm okay, your response is, that's what happens, when you live that lifestyle, it just doesn't make any sense, and some people's answer to that, sometimes is, oh, well, she's just set in her ways. And I'm just like, no, I've literally been dealing with this like ever since I was a little boy, and to know that, I could have lost my life, that night. She could have been without a son. Her main concern is, that's what happens, when you live that lifestyle, so like I love my mom, out of obligation. Okay, I'm not going to say that. I love my mom, but I have till this day, like I've never forgiven that. I never have.
Because like if you had been one of, heaven forbid, the people who died in Pulse nightclub, would she be saying the same thing? I would hope not.
I would hope not either. I would hope maybe that would be something that would, unselfishly, that would change her mind towards, people that are gay and LGBT, that, she actually lost a son, but I can't guarantee that, and it's just, it's a sad thing. And, at the time I haven't talked to my dad in years, so I couldn't, reach out to my dad. And that was literally the first person in my lifeline, that I was trying to reach out to, at that one time. And that's what I got, so that definitely did not help, like with the depression and the feelings that I felt after that, and it was just a really sad thing, and I feel like I'm really fortunate, and I feel like I'm really blessed, and I don't talk about it as much because I feel like my story is so minuscule to so many other people that were actually, inside there, and that can actually like change the world and make the world see something versus somebody, who was just, on the patio, so.
But hold on, but you realize that literally the only difference between what you went through and what those people went through who did pass away was location. That was it. You just happened to be further outside of it. You didn't choose to be further outside of it because you didn't know it was about to happen. It's like I hear this a lot from people who have, like my friend Grace, she had bladder cancer, and she would tell me that she would feel guilty because she would go to do chemotherapy and she was only in there for 15 minutes and she wasn't terminal and she wasn't losing her hair, and she was around people who were terminal, were going to die from it, that were in there just like riddled with chemotherapy. And I understand other people have it worse or have had it worse, but that doesn't mean that your situation is any less valid or deserving of being heard. I mean, you're talking about there's other people who could change the world. Like, you're doing it right now. Like, you're doing it right now by telling your truth. Like, one of the most courageous things that you can do as a human being is tell your truth, because it's fucking scary. It's scary to tell your truth because people can judge you for it. So, like, don't discount what you're saying right now, because there's people watching right now and there's people who are going to be listening later that this is going to make major impact on. And regardless of whether you lived and died is irrelevant. Telling your truth is the most important thing. So
I agree.
Don't discount yourself.
I agree. It's just, you really do just get that thing, you just really do feel guilty, and then you have people like on the news, and no offense, to anybody, who's, went to news outlets and, and stuff and told their story. But like, didn't feel, I just didn't feel like I would be respectful if somebody asked me something, and, I'm here just chirping,
You're trying to be sensitive to other people's experience, right? And even with this, like one of your concerns, and I'll just put this out there right now, I asked you to be on here. You didn't ask me to come here. And one of your concerns, you said, was that you didn't want to seem like you were the authority on anything. And and that's something that people who go through these experiences, that they feel, that they don't want to feel like they're taking away from anybody else. They also don't want to be judged for speaking their truth, but you're not speaking someone else's truth, you're speaking yours.
Yeah.
And you're the only one who can tell it. So just to be clear, I invited you here. You're not here for fame or fortune or attention. You're here because you think it's an important story to tell.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and you learn like a lot of things, like after that night, like just getting through things. Like I literally had to take a look at a lot of things, that I was doing, and just, I had to learn to like, love everybody like a little bit harder, you know what I mean? And,
you don't know how much time you have.
Yeah, no, absolutely not, and that's why, I hold people, so close to me, and also, not to mention, there was people that I did reach out to after, it happened, that wouldn't answer phones, that wouldn't return text messages. And you see, who's real and, and who's not.
Were these people that were there, or just friends that you were just trying to reach out to?
Just friends that I was trying. I needed everybody. Like, I just needed people to love on me, And, there was people that just, after it happened, I'm just like, hey, I need you, can I talk to you? Do you have 5 minutes? And nobody, not nobody, because there were many people that had time, but there were people that I thought, were good, close friends, family, whatever, and they didn't have 5 minutes for me.
Yeah.
And this is over a course of months of me trying to reach out.
And that's how you see, like, people say this a lot about romantic relationships, but I think it's any relationship that you have. It's so easy for us to be homies when things are great.
Yeah, absolutely.
You truly see who your friends are when the shit hits the fan.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And not everyone can handle the situation. I mean, I have several friends in Orlando. I go to Orlando all the time. I have several friends in Orlando who weren't there, but the entire, especially LGBT community in Orlando, you still feel the trauma to today.
Absolutely.
Like, I understand that like some people maybe aren't able to process it, and it's not 100% their fault, but it's also like you need help.
Yeah.
You need help to process these feelings.
Yeah, absolutely.
And did you seek that after the shooting happened? Like, did you seek therapy? Were there counselors available? Like, was there anything provided by like the city of Orlando to help survivors?
I'm pretty sure there was. I just didn't reach out for it. I'm pretty sure that they had those avenues available to a lot of people, but I just chose the route of, keeping my friendship circle close to me, and just doing that, for my therapy. Why I didn't take that help, I don't know. I didn't even stick around. Like, after, if you look on the news, you see people like hugging each other, and around the crime tape and stuff like that. I was gone. I was there by myself, and I was ready to go the fuck home. So like, I didn't have a friend there, to stick by and hold on to or anything like that. It was just me, and I feel like a lot of people, who did take advantage of those opportunities, or maybe the people, who did stick around and, and got information from people, or, I don't know. But and I'm sure Orlando had to have provided, they had to have provided, help and, and resources to those people. Unfortunately, I just didn't take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have, but, like I said, I was so, I was so like drowned in like survivor's remorse, and and I was so drowned in like feeling guilty and stuff like that, and feeling sad and feeling depressed. Like I just really didn't care about anything else. I moved from Orlando, not too long after
how
that.
soon after did you move?
Maybe like about 2 or 3 weeks. Like I just couldn't.
Wow. And did you move because of that?
Yeah. Like I literally I just couldn't take it.
What
anymore.
aspect could you not take?
It's just the whole energy, like of everything.
Yeah, what was it like in the city of Orlando after the shooting?
It was, I want to say, even though it was sad, there was a lot of people like coming together.
It's kind of like 9/11. Like the city of New York became the friendliest place ever.
Yes.
And everyone supported everyone because they were no longer individuals, they were a family. A
Yeah.
city family. And I feel like Orlando went through something very similar.
Yeah. It was a lot of people like coming together, and in a strange way, I think that's what made me more sad.
Wait, why would that make you more sad that people were coming together?
Because I just felt like everybody coming together, like it was out of sadness, like not out of something joyous.
But you needed that support.
I did, but it just, I just felt like my support, like I needed to be, with my friends, I wanted to be with my grandparents, like just all those people that I loved so much. Like I had friends that I loved in Orlando, and that's not to discount them, but my close friends that I've had for like 10 years plus, like everything, like my whole entire safety net was back in Texas, and I wanted that safety net to catch me, so I just said, I just need to be, with people that can just fill me like with all that love that I feel like I'm not getting. Like I was getting love, but my tank was still halfway to E, and I just felt like I just couldn't be.
You get to a point where like you just like, I don't know about you, I'm the type of person that for the most part, like you put me in any situation and I can handle what's going on. And then I haven't had something like Pulse happen, but I did, I don't know if you know much about what happened with my dog Wrigley.
I do.
She got hit by a car in front of me and died.
Yeah.
And it was the first time in my life that I couldn't handle what was going on. And it's almost like, I don't know if it was the same for you, when you go through something that's like really traumatic.
Yeah, the world stops.
Death, the world stops, and also people want to help you, but there's really nothing anybody can say to fix it.
Yeah, no.
At all.
Absolutely.
And they try. And I felt so bad for people. And I don't know if this was your experience. Did you have people trying to help and it was just like you couldn't even hear them? Or like there was nothing they were going to be able to say that was going to help with the hurt that you had?
Well, starting out, but, as the days, got along, you want somebody to, love on you a little bit, but, in those first like initial days, like you just want to be alone. Mm-hmm. Like you don't want to be bothered. So it was just one of those things. It was just like a gradual, getting better, and it graduated me from not wanting to be bothered to I need to go back home, for a little while, and just refill myself.
Yeah. And you and I talked, it must have been within a day, because I was in Chicago at the time, and when I heard, because the other shooting with Christina Grimmie happened in Orlando that same weekend. It was, or that same week. It was really bad, and I was friends with Christina because she was a fellow YouTuber,
right?
And so it was just like hit after hit. And then when Pulse happened, when people talk about privilege, I saw an opportunity for me to provide emotional support for people. I was like, I'm gonna sit in the middle of Boys Town in Chicago, and if anyone needs to talk, I'm there. And some people knew who I was and talked to me. Some people had no idea who I was and talked to me. And I did that vigil, and that's when I got in contact with you. And we talked on the phone, and you actually seemed like you were doing okay. And this was within a couple of days, because we were just starting to learn the names of the people who had died.
Yeah.
Because I remember the chief of police of Chicago was there, and there was someone who was like a semi-celebrity who was related to someone who was in Pulse, and they found out while they were talking that their loved one had died in the shooting. So that whole vigil went on. It was really weird because it went from like everyone sobbing to everyone. There was like a local bar in Boys Town that everyone went to, and they put like some musical on the big screen there that they had, and everyone was singing and hugging and laughing and drinking and crying. It was like a whole mess of emotions. And then I left that bar and I talked to you. Do you remember having that conversation with me?
Yeah, I do. I was standing on my friend's patio, and I remember having the conversation. My thing is, I don't like being emotionally vulnerable to a lot of people, so a lot of times I will put on I'll put on my face, and because I want it to be comforting to the person I'm talking to too, because I get awkward when people come to me and cry. Like it makes me feel very, very, very awkward, so I don't want to place that on somebody else, so there's very, very few people, who can get me going, you know. But I just want people to be okay too, so I don't really try to, stir people's emotions that much.
So what made you talk to me then?
Because at that time, like I said, I was looking for like support, and so anybody I can get it from, I went for it, but at the same time, I just don't want to make people feel like, my problems are, their problems, and I mean that's just, deep rooted kid stuff, that I still have to deal with or whatever, but I did want to tell somebody, so
yeah, I was grateful for that. I was like, wow, this guy just went through that and he's on the phone with me. And then it's crazy that 3 years later you're in my city and now you're telling the story.
Yeah, I know.
So much time has passed since it happened, but it has to still feel really recent, especially when the anniversaries come around.
That was tough. You should have seen my text messages.
Yeah.
I literally sent out like a mass text to a lot of people, just letting them know, that I love them or, anything. I didn't do any like social media stuff or anything like that. I just wanted to privately, let, everybody know, that I love them, because that honestly could have been like, that could have been it, so, I'm not really good at, I love you, but there's times, where, I feel like it has to be said, and it's just one of those times when you're reminded that, that could have been your last day, you just want to reach out. Yeah. You just want to reach out a little bit.
So do you feel like you experienced emotional growth because of your experience with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, you learn to like love people like a little bit harder, and and most of all, like be kind, like that particular situation brought the gay community together, but in the grand scheme of things, I personally, and this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but I just feel like at times the gay community can be just the most judgmental and mean community, and we're used to people acting that way towards us, but we can't be kind to each other, and love each other.
I've noticed a lot of elitism within LGBT. Like you have like with gay guys, it's like with gay men, it's like, oh, I'm a golden gay, or I'm a platinum gay, or they judge your body, and like, I mean, we could get into this. Like, I want to sit down with someone who is like frequents the gay dating apps, because you, especially as a person of color, like they say stuff like no fats, no femmes.
No, you don't know how
blacks.
many times I've been told, No blacks, no niggers. Oh, you're very well spoken, for
You don't sound
for a
like
black guy.
you don't sound like a black person.
Yeah.
Oh my lord.
I mean, you get it a lot, and it's like, and it's stupid. And I'm not the only race, that deals with that. We're all, and I've seen black guys say like, "Oh, I don't want pink meat," and stuff like that. Like it's like it happens, and that shit is just, it's ridiculous.
Wait, am I pink meat?
Yes, you're
okay.
pink meat.
I'm pale. I'm actually more like right now. I'm more I'm like one of those Neapolitan ice cream bars, but without the strawberry.
I think they're talking more the penile areas.
Oh, my penis. I don't. You have that.
Okay.
I don't use it.
I think
either.
that's what. But yeah, like it all just needs to stop. And if like we can all just like come together like that, more than we are like mean.
And you would hope that it would take something other than 50 people dying.
Yeah, but it hasn't. It hasn't.
And that's the thing. And so one of the things, and I was telling you like before, now if you're a subscriber of mine on Twitch, we do a like a brainstorm session for like questions that we would like to ask in a voice lobby before you come on. And one of the guys that was in there, I was like, how did you feel after it happened? And he was like, it was awful, but it happens so much that we've almost become slightly desensitized to it happening. Like we talked about it for like what? For a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And it's almost seems like this happens so much that we're already over it. Like immediately. Yeah. Like the people who experienced it, they sit and suffer, and people stop caring because it's not news anymore. Yeah. And because it happens so often. Like, did you feel like people kind of moved on from it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like they've moved on from it. I feel like it's definitely, everything gets reignited, when the anniversaries and stuff come around like that. I know Orlando hasn't, like they're constantly like updating and doing things, it's a memorial now,
Yeah.
But, on a pulse, if they forgot about it, they would have just left it, as is. But, there's still people that come and show love and, do stuff like that. So,
have you visited since the shooting?
I did. I went back a year after.
Yeah.
And it literally made me sick.
Mm-hmm.
So
when I went also, it was a year after it happened, and I went. Did you see that post on Instagram with my friend Manny? I was holding his hand.
Yes.
Yeah, he hadn't been back since it had happened, and he lost a lot of friends because he's Latino.
Yeah,
and has lived in Orlando for a long time, and both of us were just sitting there sobbing. Like I'm not even in the Orlando community, and it's just because I think too much we focus on our category. Like to me, like
yeah,
I don't care if you're black, I don't care if you're gay, I don't care where you're from. Like I connect to your humanity. Are you a good person? And I think so often we're so focused on our category instead of who we are at our core.
Right.
And so I just wish that more and this is why I talk about LGBT issues, is because I think too often people want to focus on, well, that's not my community. Fuck yeah, it is. Like these are fellow humans that, and the thing is like mothers got killed in that, straight people got killed in that. Don't think it was just gay
Absolutely.
people,
Yeah.
So I just like, I hope as a society we get to a point where we don't care about those things and we just focus on who you are as a person.
Prayerfully, eventually,
it's idealistic. I understand, but I gotta try.
Yeah,
I gotta try.
Absolutely. Yeah, but just for now, like I said, that it took that, to make me, realize those things. So, I mean, hopefully it doesn't take something drastic for somebody else to realize it, but this whole thing with, seeing like color and size and, all that other stuff, it's just for what?
Yeah. It's just another way to make someone feel less. But a lot of times when people are trying to make someone else feel less, it's because they feel less and they want to drag that person down with them. I'm a very big fan of rising tide raises all ships, but we're also insecure about being left behind.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
So what have you changed? Like, how you live your life now more in the moment? Do you still struggle with a lot of the feelings around, or do you pretty much not think about it very much?
I try not to revisit it a lot. Unfortunately, there's some things I do have some tics, like packed tight bars. I can't do it. If I'm gonna go out, a lot of times, like I'll go, do something like during the day. I do have my times where I want to go out, like I'll
Get extra.
yeah, but once it starts getting a little bit too packed tight in there, I start looking for exits, like my heart starts beating a little faster, and it just doesn't end up being, the best night.
You can't have fun with
yeah,
it.
and I'm pretty much ready to go home after that. And I'm getting better, like but just like I haven't been to a concert yet. I think after that, and just like I said, like really packed tight bars, like I have to go outside. Even when I go outside on the patio, that makes it worse,
Yeah, I bet.
So
yeah, I feel you. Like I worked in nightclubs in LA for a long time, and I used to be someone who like actually enjoyed crowds like that. And then after years of getting into constant fist fights, having knives and guns pointed at me, so now I feel the same thing. It's PTSD. I feel the same thing because I have been stabbed. I have had guns pointed at me. I have been in somewhere where shots fired, and it always happened when it was so packed you could barely move.
Yeah.
And so now, like, do you find people are understanding of the fact that you're like, because I don't know about you, but I either don't go, or when I go, I piece the fuck out. Like, I literally can't. And people think I'm being boring, but it's like, you don't know my experience or why I'm doing this. I'm not trying to be not fun.
Yeah. For people that don't know, that I was there that night, no. It was just kind of a thing, where, okay, well, let's go to the next place. People that do know, like, they can kind of pick up, like, on my body language or the way I'm acting, and, they'll be like, oh, let's get out of
That's
here.
good to have understanding people like that.
Yeah, but like I said, it's not, if you didn't know me during that time and you know me past that time, chances are I just probably didn't, bring it up to you, or I just probably didn't tell you, and it's just because I don't feel like, I don't want to say I don't feel like everybody needs to know, but that's just not something that, first of all, it would be something very awkward to share, and then, two, like, it's just one of those things where, it's just like, I'm just, why?
Yeah.
Why do you need to know?
You want to move on with your life.
Exactly. So there's a lot of people that just don't know, so if I need to go, I just go.
Yeah. So do you have any sort of advice for people who have gone through maybe something similar, or how you've coped with things, like, say they're going through a traumatic experience? Is there any wisdom that you could impart on these people, the way that you've dealt with things, that could maybe help them?
Yeah, just if there's resources for you to, like, talk to somebody or, get some help, just do it. Like, as cliche as it sounds, the avenue I took to deal with it wasn't exactly the best avenue, because a lot of the things that I feel right now, or a lot of things that I go through right now, when I think about it, it could have been prevented. Had I, just been like, hey, are there some counseling service or, some kind of psychological services, that
you can still do that, by the way.
Yeah, but like,
because this doesn't go away, man. Like, it's still there.
No, I get it. I just don't feel like, I'm at the point now to where, it's needed, like, I'm doing great. I smile every morning, just about, when I'm not hungover. And I go on with my life, and I do my thing. I'm not affected on a grand scale. You know, it's still, you know, a part of me, it still happened, you know, but I don't let it control my life or the things that I'm doing, you know. So I just personally don't feel that that's the avenue that I need to take, you know, at this point in time.
Yeah.
You know, but to some people where, you know, it's still kind of fresh or whatever and you haven't healed yet, you know, just do it. Like, find,
there's help out there.
yeah, just do it, you know. And it may be like embarrassing, you know, to have to do to some people, you know, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, it'll prevent some issues.
So if people are interested in reaching out to you after listening to this, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know,
what's the best way for people to reach you?
They can message me on my Instagram. My Instagram tag is there.
What is it?
It's at What's Up Shae.
What's Up Shae? Can you spell it for me?
WHASSUPSHAE.
Extra. So extra.
So extra.
So yeah, if you want to reach out to him, that's the place to do it. I'm going to turn this over to the Twitch chat. So if you ever want to talk to any of my guests live, make sure you subscribe or follow on Twitch or any of my social media, which is Sup Daily, and you'll be able to ask questions. But for now, thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation. We went a lot of different places, as we tend to do, and I'm very grateful that he sat down with me, and now he's actually one of my real life friends, which is always a good thing. So again, if you want to tune into this live, go to twitch.tv/supdaily. If you'd like to sponsor the show and get shouted out in an episode, patreon.com/unfilteredfriends. And don't forget to give a rating on Apple Podcast, and we're also live on Spotify and Google Play. Check out my social media, Sup Daily, on Instagram, Twitter, and I will see you guys all on the next episode of Unfiltered Friends.